Hey guys, LordVader here, bringing you some Minecraft survival gameplay. So let's get started. Now, today, for the first time, I'm going to be doing something interesting that I haven't really done before. While I'm playing, I'm going to be explaining some tech concepts in a simpler way. And I don't know how good it'll turn out, but it's something I just want to try and see how it is. So now it's night, so I'm gonna sleep. And today what I'm gonna explain is something really interesting to me. That's interesting to pretty much everyone in the modern world right now. It's bitcoins and how hashing bitcoins works. Basically, how do I say? When the bitcoin is a type of virtual currency. Okay, that's all good. You know what that Bitcoin is. But now you know, oh, Bitcoin's a virtual currency. That's great. What type of virtual currency exactly are Bitcoins? Well, bitcoins are actually a very interesting type of virtual currency. Their output, the way they're created, which is actually very interesting. It's randomly guessed, completely. So, if you want to get bitcoins, there's a couple ways of getting them. You can buy them, just go and buy some bitcoins. Like from a Bitcoin exchange like Mt. Gox or something else. I'll post a link in the annotations somewhere on the screen. Anyway, so you can either buy them, and then using that you pay for however many bitcoins you want with your current amount of money. Right now, bitcoins are, I believe, about $90 to a bitcoin. That's the US dollars to a bitcoin. That's the current value. But though, how do you say, that's not how most people will buy bitcoins. And there's not too much validation for buying bitcoins unless you're really into this whole virtual currency thing, or you want to store your money on paper. But in that case, you can either go to a bank and get it at the ATM, get it from an ATM terms of exactly what you want, or you can just store it in terms of banknotes. Bitcoins really have no practical purpose. I mean, yeah, you can store them on a flash drive, so I suppose you could store a lot more of them in a lot smaller place. But then again, most people won't do that with their bitcoins because storing them on a flash drive is pretty difficult. So what most people do, they're not going to buy bitcoins just for the fun of it. They're not going to store all their money that way. What they'll do is they'll mine bitcoins. Now, Bitcoin mining. What is Bitcoin mining? Well, each Bitcoin is essentially a number. Actually, it's not even that. When you want to generate a brand new Bitcoin, the way it works is each Bitcoin is created because there is no one bank that deals with all the Bitcoins. So it's a decentralized system. So no, there's no one central place that you can get your bitcoins from. The way it works is there is a certain. Oh, I better put the cookie there, not the wheat. The way it works is every time you want a new bitcoin, you have to generate them. How do you generate them? Now, the one thing about bitcoins that is central to everything is the public transaction ledger, or the block record, which is basically just a list of all the bitcoin changes, exchanges, transfers, moving it from one person's account to another that's occurred up till now. So whenever you want to generate new bitcoins, you have to find a new block, and each block details a singular transaction. So, to get new bitcoins, you have to generate a block header that matches a certain value. Now, what is that value? Well, you don't know what that value is. The way it works is, you have the block header, and it's you randomly guess a number. Then you run it through a hash, SHA-256 hash, or SHA-256. Now you're asking, what's that? Well, a hash is just a set of really, really complex mathematical formulations that transformations that you run through, and then when you run through the complicated mathematical transformations, you get an output that's always the same length. So no matter how big the input is, you always get a 256-bit output with the SHA-1 algorithm. I mean, it's a hashing algorithm. Hashing is essentially sending input data through a set of complicated mathematical transformations to create a fixed length output. It's kind of techy, but you should understand. I explained it. Now, thing is, okay, hashing. That's great. What do I care about hashing? How does it help me? Basically, the way you match a certain target for the Bitcoin mining is the block you've generated that is a Bitcoin, the header you generate that is valid. You have to generate a header, the block header. That's where the new Bitcoins are created. And the rest of the block describes who the actual Bitcoins go to. So when you generate a block header, after you run the hash on it, you get a certain value. Now, at any given point, there is a singular target value that your hash has to be equal to or lesser than. So let's say I'm randomly guessing Bitcoin hashes, randomly guessing inputs. So your input has to be equal to the value of the target or lesser than it, or less than it. What that means is it's really, really hard to get small hashes based upon inputs. So I mean small outputs based upon inputs, because the inputs are completely randomly guessed. And with SHA-1, changing one letter in the input changes more than half of the actual output. So it's essentially completely random, you're guessing. Now, as the target gets smaller and smaller, there's less and less possible hash output values that would result in a possible header. So, the more Bitcoins generated, the harder it becomes to generate them successfully. This is known as difficulty. The difficulty is essentially how hard it is to actually generate new Bitcoins. For now, it may not be too difficult. As time progresses, it gets harder and harder. And then, as it gets harder and harder, the amount of Bitcoin generated per second, per minute, per hour, per day becomes a lot smaller. As that becomes a lot smaller, then the Bitcoins themselves would probably become more valuable. So over time, the Bitcoin value may or may not actually increase. It'll fluctuate. Now, what's interesting about this is that people don't try and generate these values by themselves, because there's massive amounts of possible values that you could generate. So what people do is they pool together computers, and the common pools of computers are then use all of their different parts to check for Bitcoins. They use maybe 1,000 or 100,000 different computers at the same time, all guessing random numbers to try and get a input that will result in a proper output. And once you find that, the person whose computer discovered it gets 25 Bitcoins, and then and then the rest of it is split among the different people who also help participate, because you're forgetting all the computers share values, so not all the computers run the same values. They all run different values. Now what's attacking me? Oh, hunger. That's okay, I have some cookies. Quickly. Okay, cooked pork chop. No. Okay, and a couple cookies. Okay, that's better. Now, I should probably go hunt for some pigs that cook some more pork chops. Bread doesn't seem to be an efficient way of storing things at all. Bread actually contains very little actual health. Cookies, on the other hand, are quite helpful, but all of those require wheat, and wheat's so it takes a lot of time to grow. That's why I'm looking for some pigs. Anyway, what I was saying. So, running through hashes is actually... So, all the computers share these possible input values. And, so, if you want, you can go sign up to a mining pool. And then over time, you can just mine. And you'll get a very small input of bitcoins, but it'll be pretty steady because you get a couple pretty often. Oops, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, bitcoins are a pretty interesting thing. And then also, hashing algorithm is also really interesting because I'm going to explain that now. A hashing algorithm is, what is it? A bunch of numbers you put together, and then it's a bunch of formula you put together, you run your input through it, then boom, there you have it. That's your hashing algorithm. So the thing that's special about SHA-1, you could say, so I can just make up a bunch of random numbers and run operations on them. Yeah, you could. The thing is, SHA-1 and MD5 and all the other hashing algorithms were created by mathematicians. These people spend their lives doing these things. So, they actually have... Oh crap. Oh, that's where I have to go. Anyway. Okay, so... That's one place. Okay. I'm going to go grab another torch. Anyway, so yeah, so that's just something I thought that might interest you guys. And I think I like this, so I'll be doing this more often. It's more interesting than just raw gameplay. Anyway, that is it. I will continue playing again tomorrow in Minecraft. And until then, see you guys.